And then lastly, client software is an interesting opportunity and also a challenge. Those of you who have relatives in China would know that PCs are infected with malware and spyware, taken over by spyware, redirects your, sometimes people tell us, hey, when I type google.com, how come I'm redirected to this other website? Did you guys do it? I said, no, no, no. Some malware did something bad, right? And ads pop up, and also hijacking the address bar is very, very popular, and messing up your registry settings. And I'm hopeful that Windows Vista may solve some of the problems, but it is a huge problem in China. But there's also a big opportunity because people really are used to downloading shareware and software. Perhaps they're a bit too trusting. And I think we can at the same time provide a lot of value-add useful software for people to download and use, but at the same time trying to increase awareness that people need to be careful, and there are certain companies and products one could trust and perhaps others less so. So these are various opportunities that one could address in China. Another one is local. Chinese internet users, needless to say, are concentrated in metropolitan areas. And these people are starting to get prosperous and wealthy. They're making more money. They're able to get internet access. They're also able to buy their girlfriend flowers on a Valentine's Day, or look for a nice restaurant, and perhaps look for a nicer rental, maybe buy a house, perhaps even buy a car, and look for driving directions and bus routes and public transit. And all that is happening in the city. See, that's an opportunity that I think is interesting. For those of you who are Chinese, this is about 衣食住行, or 吃喝玩乐, right? Something that's I think people really gravitate towards for the 5,000 years of history. And also, there are a number of opportunities still open. There's no yellow pages. There's no local search leadership. There's no classified ads. There's no Craigslist yet. And there's very little legal risks. This is just about buying nice, cheap, useful stuff. This has nothing to do with information or sensitivities. And also, this perhaps potentially could connect well with mobile. So here I just show a couple of examples of popular websites that I use. Ganji is a good Craigslist-like site. Kuxin is a nice classified search. Soufan is a nice real estate search. And Dianping is a nice restaurant search. So it's a little bit hard to use, but one could imagine this set of things will want to emerge and be developed further. One potential opportunity would be, you can imagine if you go to Google and let's say you go to our web search or even local search and you type gourmet food, Beijing, Wangfujing, and you might get some result like that with restaurant ratings and everything. Okay. And that's something you can actually try out. This is where it's in an experimental phase. If you want to try it out, it's called ditu.google.com. Ditu is spelled D-I-T-U, of course. There's big mobile opportunities. We talked about this earlier with 440 million people using the mobile phone, and with 40% of them on web. I think that's a little bit exaggerated. These are people who paid for WAP capabilities. Perhaps only a quarter of them actually use WAP on a regular basis. But with 1 billion SMS a day, there's even opportunities without WAP to really address this wonderful market. So the opportunities I can see are, just searching on net, on China Mobile's net, of all the possible downloads and books to listen to and read, and ringtones and music and pictures that China Mobile and its partners provide. That's already very rich. Millions of pieces of data. Searching that is difficult. Of course, WAP search over in general, searching everything, that's even bigger. And then connections to local I talked about. You can imagine, asking about a Sichuan restaurant nearby, or ATM near my house, or bus route to go to work. These are things you could imagine sending a short SMS and getting some responses on. We've partnered with China Mobile in mainland China, Chenghua Telecom in Taiwan, and we're building a worldwide platform, and we're learning a lot from deployment, especially in Japan, where we're really quite advanced, working with KDDI, hoping to really bring that to even a larger number of users in China. Video and music are both big, but they're both difficult. Video is big because of the high broadband penetration. The market's growing big. There's not a YouTube yet. There are probably 30 YouTube copycats. The licensing rules are unclear. Currently, you have to be a domestic company to get a video license, but that's possibly going to change in the next year. Music, on the other hand, is huge already in China. It's the #1 content being searched for, and most of the Chinese users have used it. And yet, the court decisions and precedences are not really quite established. There's been a couple of lawsuits recently, and the music labels won some and lost some. The ones they lost seems to indicate it's going to be quite difficult for music labels to assert their copyright in China because the laws are rather complex and still evolving. I'm certainly hopeful that over time there will be greater respect for IP and copyright, but certainly right now this looks like a somewhat chaotic market with the music labels not able to make a lot of money on their creation. So those are just some possible market opportunities. I forgot to list community as another one. Communities are big. I talked already about BBS and mentioned it earlier. But that would be another area I think is quite important. So lastly, let me talk a little bit about, okay, so if you should feel, hey, Google China's got its act together, I think #1 reason is we're taking the long-term view, we're hiring great people. #2 is we're analyzing the market and we're going to build stuff that the market wants. But I think another third one is we want to have strong connections to our headquarters and worldwide R&D. If you look at all the companies that have failed in China, it often comes down to, is the team in China trusted and empowered to do the job it needs to do? Okay. If headquarters does not trust its China team, holds very tight reins, controls it tightly, enforces global platform, doesn't allow it to innovate and build products and control the UI, then those companies have tended to fail. So as I started to build up the team and build a longer-term plan in China, I also realized it's important for the China team to establish credibility and also to educate the headquarters why China is unique, important, growing, and critical to the company's future. So here are just some pictures that you can see that sort of represent the work that we have done. This is Eric Schmidt visiting China, talking to the American ambassador to China about how to do business in China and why it's important to US and to Google. Here's a picture of our general counsel, our head of engineering, among other senior people listening to VIPs such as the ambassador speaking about the importance of China. This is by the way, this is in Guibinlou, a very Chinese hotel that we took them to. Here's a visit to university. Here is a bunch of our senior people visiting Beijing University, interacting with the students. This is our Jeff Dean, our Google fellow, explaining technology to a bunch of Beida professors. This is Gotham, one of our senior engineers on the web crawling. This is Marissa Meyer, our VP of Product Management. And this is Mike Dixon, head of our Google News. And then just to make sure people have engraved in their minds that this is a country with 5,000 years of history. And some of the interesting challenges and the opportunities come from the years of history. We had Googlers reenact some of the past things in Google's history. This one is showing the glorious days to the extent that the Chinese people feel so proud and in some cases maybe even superior of its history and successes. This is Qianlong Huangdi accepting barbarians' tokens of appreciation. Okay, and if people want to know, how did the current government form its credibility and how it disseminates information to the public. This shows basically a set of people in the propaganda group in the military trying to disseminate key information.